I was standing at my kitchen counter when I read those words on a screen that wasn't mine. Caribbean Getaway, Party of 5. I counted the number. I counted it twice. There were 5 people on that trip, not 6. Let me take you back to how it all started. My name is Dorothy Caldwell. Most people who love me call me Dot. I am 72 years old, a retired school teacher with 31 years in 4th grade, and I have a beach house on the Outer Banks of North Carolina that my late husband Earl and I purchased 33 years ago with money we saved for 7 years to get. We drove down to look at it on a rainy Thursday in October, and Earl walked every inch of that place with his hands in his pockets, and his face doing that quiet thing it did when he was trying not to show how much he wanted something. The porch was sagging. The kitchen needed work. The ocean was right there, gray and enormous beyond the dunes. We bought it 6 weeks later. We painted every room ourselves over 2 long Thanksgiving weekends. We carried our son Marcus through the front door when he was 4 years old and watched his eyes go round as dinner plates when he saw the water for the first time. That memory is as clear as anything I own. Earl passed 6 years ago. The house is mine now. His name off the deed, mine remaining. Sole owner. Every year, without exception, the first week of August belongs to family. It has been that way for 29 years. We rent the house through June and early July to help cover the taxes and upkeep. Earl was practical about that, and so am I, but that first August week is not for rent. It is not on any platform. It is ours. Or so I believed. 2 summers ago, Marcus and his wife, Kristen, came to dinner one Sunday and made what sounded like a generous offer. "Mom, you shouldn't have to manage all those booking platforms," Marcus said. He had that tone he gets when he's decided something is settled before the conversation begins. "We'll handle the calendar. Keep everything organized. You just relax." I want to be honest, it did sound like a kindness. I am not a suspicious woman. I have no interest in being suspicious. I said yes, and I thanked them, and I thought that was the end of it. What I didn't understand then was that kindness and control can look almost identical from the outside. The first hint arrived the following spring, small enough that I almost let it pass. We were having coffee, Kristen and I, just the 2 of us, and she mentioned, very casually, that they had been exploring some alternatives for the August trip. Alternatives to what? I asked. She smiled. The particular smile she uses when she considers a conversation already finished. Oh, just looking at options. Keeping things fresh. I asked what she meant. She moved on to the subject of Lily's soccer schedule, and I let it go, because I did not want to be the kind of mother-in-law who presses. That was my first mistake. In June, I noticed the rental income had stopped landing in my checking account. I mentioned it to Marcus over the phone. He said, without hesitation, that he had set up a separate account to bundle the income for tax purposes. Taxes, I said. It simplifies things, Mom. You know how messy rental income can get at your end. I said I appreciated the thought. I didn't ask for the account number. I should have. That was my second mistake, and it was a bigger one. The thing about mistakes like these is that they compound quietly. They don't announce themselves. You look up one day, and there is simply more distance between you and the truth than you realized. The distance revealed itself on a Thursday evening in mid-July, when my grandson Theo, 15 years old and the owner of roughly 500 electronic devices, but somehow always losing each one, left his mother's tablet on my kitchen counter when the family stopped by for dinner. I noticed it after they left. I charged it thinking I'd call him in the morning. The screen lit up at 9 o'clock with a notification I did not mean to read. But I read it. Travel confirmation. Caribbean. Departure July 28th. Return August 4th. Party of 5, Marcus, Kristen, Thea, Lily, Grace. I counted again. 5, not 6. I stood in my kitchen for a long moment with my hand still on the counter. Then I thought about what my friend Ruth always says: when something doesn't make sense, keep reading until it does. What I found in the next 12 minutes changed everything I thought I knew. I found a shared notes file on that tablet. I found rental confirmations for my beach house, my house, for the last week of June and both weeks of July. I found a record of income deposited into an account I did not recognize. $12,000. Rental income from my property, going somewhere I had no access to, that I had not requested, that no one had shown me. And there, in a planning note in Kristen's neat handwriting, was this: Outer Banks first week of August, Henderson family, check-in August 1. House will be clear. The Henderson family. Strangers. In my house. During my week. I set the tablet down very carefully. I went to my bedroom. I sat on the edge of the mattress, the same mattress Earl and I brought to the beach house the second summer we owned it, and I cried for exactly 4 minutes. I gave myself 4 minutes. Then I stopped. Then I called Carol. Carol Simmons has been my closest friend for 31 years, which means she was already my friend when Earl and I bought that house, and she was sitting in the front row at his funeral, and she is the real estate attorney who has managed my property affairs ever since he died. She is also 70 years old, does not suffer foolishness in any form, and answers her phone on the second ring regardless of the hour. I told her everything. Every number. Every date. Every word of that planning note. She was quiet for a moment. Then, Dot. That house is in your name. Yes. I said. They cannot list and rent it without your signed authorization. If you never signed a listing agreement. I signed nothing in the last 2 years. Not a single document. Marcus asked if it was all right to manage the calendar, and I said yes, and that was the end of our paperwork. Okay, Carol said, and I heard her shift into the mode I'd watched her use in courtrooms for 3 decades. Quiet. Exact. Decisive. Email me everything you remember from that tablet. Every detail you can recall. Tonight. I am a retired school teacher. Precision is a professional habit. I wrote that email in 40 minutes, every number and date correct, and sent it to Carol at 9:17 in the evening. She called back at 9:44. Here's what we are going to do. She said. The preparations took 9 days. I did not rush them, and I did not announce them. The first thing Carol did was contact the rental platform in writing on my behalf, informing them that the listed property owner had not authorized the bookings made under the third-party account. The platform responded within 48 hours and flagged the Henderson reservation pending owner verification. The Hendersons were issued a full refund plus a platform credit. I wrote them a brief personal note, no details, just a sincere apology for the inconvenience. They were innocent parties, and I wanted them treated that way. The second thing I did was call my sister Ruth in Charlotte and ask if she and her husband Bill wanted to spend the first week of August at the Outer Banks. Is the Pope Catholic? As she said, we'll be there Thursday. The third thing I did was call Patricia, then Janet, then my neighbor Midge, whose husband Gerald had passed the previous November and who had not been anywhere that mattered since the funeral. I told each of them the same thing. First week of August, beach house, Outer Banks, bring food to share and shoes you don't mind getting sandy. I did not call Marcus. I sent him a short text wishing them safe travels. He replied with a thumbs up emoji. I found that more clarifying than hurtful. The fourth thing I did was call Theo directly. Not his mother's phone. His own. He called me back in 20 minutes, and his voice had that quality teenage boys get when they know something is wrong but don't know how much they're allowed to say. Grandma, is everything okay? Everything is going to be just fine, sweetheart. I told him, I just want you to know that my beach house door is always open to you and your sisters. Always. That doesn't change. A pause. Okay, Grandma. Okay. I said, and I meant every word. Whatever happened between me and his parents, that boy and his sisters were not going to become collateral damage. They never would be. The fifth thing Carol did, the one I enjoyed the most, if I am being entirely honest, was reclaim full administrative access to my property listing on every platform where it appeared, through proper legal channels. My house, my listing, my name. On a Thursday afternoon in late July, I loaded my car with groceries, 2 bottles of Riesling, my grandmother's quilt, and a folding chair I have had since Marcus was in Little League. Ruth and Bill followed behind me in their Subaru. I drove the 4 hours without the radio on. Just the road and my thoughts, and the steady knowledge that I was going exactly where I was supposed to be. I opened the door to my beach house, and the smell of it hit me, salt air, old wood, the cedar sachets I keep in the hall closet, and something in my chest settled back into place like a key turning in a familiar lock. I opened every window. I made coffee. I sat on the porch and looked at the Atlantic Ocean until the light went golden and Ruth came to sit beside me without saying a word, which is one of the great gifts of a 31-year friendship. Marcus called on Saturday morning. I was on my second cup of coffee. Ruth was inside making eggs. The ocean was doing what it always does, and I was watching it when my phone rang. I let it ring twice. I answered on the third. Mom. His voice had that tight, careful quality I recognized from 31 years of raising him. Something was wrong, and he was managing how he said so. What is going on with the beach house booking? Good morning, Marcus. I said, how is the Caribbean? It's Mom, the rental platform is flagging the August booking. The family that was supposed to stay this week says they were refunded and told the reservation was canceled. That's right. I said, the Hendersons. They were refunded in full, plus a platform credit. They were very gracious about it. A long pause. How do you know their name? Because I found it in a planning note on your wife's tablet, which Theo left at my kitchen counter in July, along with the Caribbean booking and the rental income account I was never told about. The silence after that was the longest he had given me in years. Mom, Marcus. My voice was steady. I had been a school teacher for 31 years, and the trick is to be soft enough to be heard and firm enough not to be moved. I'd like to say some things, and I need you to let me finish. Can you do that? He said yes. This house belongs to me. My name alone is on that deed. Your father and I built something here over 33 years that I intend to maintain and protect. I did not authorize anyone to rent it the first week of August. I did not authorize the creation of a separate account for my rental income. Those are facts. Carol has been working through the details, and we will talk about all of it when you are home and we can sit at a table together like adults. I heard him exhale, long and slow. What I want you to know right now, this morning, is simply this. I am on my porch. Ruth and Bill are here. Patricia and Janet are arriving this afternoon. My neighbor Midge is driving up tomorrow morning. We are having the first week of August at my beach house, exactly the way I have had it for 29 years. The guest list is a little different this year. That is all. Mom. His voice had dropped. The management was gone out of it. I'm sorry. I know. I said. I don't know how it got this far. Kristen thought with the kids wanting something different this year, something newer, and I thought maybe you'd prefer not to. He stopped himself. Prefer not to what? I asked. Gently. Genuinely. He didn't answer. I think the honest answer embarrassed him, and I decided to let it. Marcus. I said, I am not angry. Or rather, I was, and I gave myself 4 minutes for it, and I am done. What I need from you going forward is simple. This house and decisions about it go through me. That is not a punishment. It is just a fact. This is my house. I am still here. I am still capable. And I would very much like for you and Kristen and those 3 grandchildren to spend many more weeks in it, with me as a family. He said he understood. He said it quietly. Good. I said, bring me back something from the Caribbean that isn't a magnet. I have 17 of them on my refrigerator, and I do not need an 18th. He laughed. Small and surprised, but real. We said goodbye. I set the phone down on the porch railing, and Ruth appeared in the doorway with a fresh coffee mug, and both eyebrows raised at an interrogating height. Well, she said. He'll be all right. I said, hand me that coffee. The week was beautiful. Patricia burned the corn on the cob the first night, and we talked about it for 3 solid days. Midge walked the beach every morning at 6, and I walked with her. And by Thursday morning, she was laughing, really laughing, the kind that comes up from somewhere you'd forgotten you had, and I thought, there she is. There is Gerald's wife, finding her way back. Before we left, Marcus wired the rental income back to my account. Carol tells me the situation is fully resolved. I believe her. Theo texted me on Wednesday of that week. Just 4 words, miss you, Grandma. Love. I called him back immediately. We talked for 45 minutes about school and fishing, and whether September was too cold for the Outer Banks. I told him we were going to find out together, because I wanted him to come down in September, just the two of us, to fish off the porch the way Earl used to take him when he was small. He said yes before I finished the sentence. In September, Theo and I sat on that porch in the evening with the rods propped against the railing, and the sky doing that impossible pink and orange thing it does over the water when the sun is going down just right. After a while he said, very quietly, "Grandma, I didn't know. About the rental stuff and everything. I didn't know." "I know you didn't, sweetheart." I said, "I'm glad you're still here." He said, "I'm glad the house is still yours." I looked out at the water. Earl's old chair was still in the corner of the porch, where he always left it. He'd painted it white the summer before he died, and told me to stop fussing about the peeling because it had character. I never repainted it. So am I. I said, "There are some things that are not negotiable. Not because you're difficult, not because you're selfish, but because they are yours and you earned them and you are still here, still standing, still perfectly capable of deciding who sits on your porch and what week they come. Nobody gets to quietly take that from you. Not even someone you love. Tell me in the comments, has someone in your family ever moved a boundary without asking, and what did you do when you found out?" The day my granddaughter sent me that screenshot by accident, I had to sit down. The message was short. 4 lines. But the name of the group chat at the top of the screen told me everything I needed to know. 2 years. They had been texting, planning, laughing, and living together for 2 years, and I had never been invited. Let me take you back to how it all started. My name is Dorothy. I am 73 years old, and I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, in the same house where I raised my son Marcus for 22 years. It is a brick colonial on a quiet street with oak trees in the front yard that Gerald and I planted as saplings in 1986. They are tall now and very beautiful, and in the fall they turn a color that makes people slow their cars down as they drive past. Gerald passed 8 years ago. Pancreatic cancer, fast and cruel. For a while, I thought the grief would sit on my chest forever, the way a stone sits on the bottom of a river. But it didn't. I got up. I planted a vegetable garden in the backyard, which Gerald had always wanted to do but never got around to. I remodeled the master bathroom with YouTube tutorials and a kneeling pad. I joined a book club that meets every 3rd Tuesday at Pauline's house 2 doors down, and that book club became, in ways I cannot fully explain, the backbone of my social life for the years that followed. Marcus married Renee 16 years ago. I will say this for Renee, she is a capable woman. She keeps an organized house, and she is an attentive mother. And she brings a green bean casserole to every potluck that people genuinely look forward to. Their 3 children are Lily, who is 14 and reads constantly and has my chin, Owen, who is 11 and loud in the most wonderful possible way, and Cora, who just turned 6 and believes that sitting in my lap is her constitutional right. She is correct. For years, I was in the middle of it all. Holidays at my house, because my dining table seats 12, and I have always considered that a civic responsibility. Summer weeks at the lake house, a 4-bedroom on Douglas Lake, 40 minutes outside of Knoxville, that Gerald and I bought in 1987 for $42,000. I was there when Renee had her gallbladder out and needed someone to manage the school pickups. I knit Cora a blanket the week she was born, cream-colored with small yellow ducks, and I saw it on her bed as recently as last Easter. And then something shifted. The way seasons shift, slowly, without announcement, until one morning you realize you haven't felt warm in a long time. It started small. A dinner at Marcus and Renee's that I heard about from Lily, who mentioned it assuming I already knew. "Oh, we figured you had your thing on Fridays," Marcus said when I asked about it later. "I do have a thing on Fridays. Book club is on Tuesdays." Owen's birthday party that spring, I showed up and the cake had already been cut, the games already played. "We told you 3 o'clock. Marcus said. I had written 2 o'clock in my planner. I had been writing down what people told me my whole life, and I was quite sure I had written down what I was told. I let it go. I am not a woman who picks at threads. I told myself they were stretched thin. 3 kids, 2 careers, a new house in a neighborhood 40 minutes from me. I understood what busy looked like. I had been busy myself once in exactly that way. But there is a difference between busy and absent. And I was beginning to feel, not suspicious exactly, just uncertain. The way you feel uncertain when you walk into a room and the conversations stop just a beat too quickly. What I didn't know yet was that the story had been unfolding in a phone I had never been given access to. Thanksgiving came 2 years ago. I called Marcus 3 weeks in advance the way I always had, because planning a holiday meal for 12 people does not happen by accident. He paused a beat too long before he answered. "We're actually doing it at Renee's mom's this year." He said, "Sandra wants to host. Just their side. A low-key. Just their side." I said, "Of course, Marcus. That sounds lovely." I meant it, or I meant to mean it. I spent Thanksgiving that year with Pauline and her daughter, who was visiting from Portland, and it was genuinely pleasant. But I drove home that night and sat in Gerald's old wingback chair and allowed myself exactly 10 minutes to feel the sting of it. It's a practice I developed after Gerald died. Feel the thing. Then get up and do something useful. I got up. I did the dishes. 7 months ago, Lily sent me something on her phone while she was trying to forward me a photo from her school play. She's 14. She clicked the wrong thing. It happens. What I received was a fragment, 4 messages from a thread called Family Updates. I could see the names: Marcus, Renee, Lily, Owen, Sandra, Renee's sister Becca. There was a photo of the lake house, my lake house, taken from the dock. Underneath it, Marcus had written, "Think Mom would let us use it for 4th of July again. I'll ask." And Renee had replied, "Just say we're visiting her and grab the key like last time." Easier. Like last time. I put the phone face down on the kitchen table. I sat there for a very long time. The refrigerator hummed. Outside the window, a cardinal landed on the feeder I fill every Sunday morning. I watched it eat. What I found in that logbook the next few minutes settled it for good. I went to my desk and pulled out the record book I keep for the lake house, maintenance entries, utility usage, small repairs, the occasional rental. I turned to the entries from the past 2 summers. 3 separate weekends where the propane tank had been substantially depleted. The deck furniture rearranged. The outdoor shower used, and the towels left in a particular pile I would not have left them in. Those same weekends, Marcus had told me he wasn't able to get up there that season. I closed the logbook. I put it back in the drawer. I did not call Marcus. I did not text. I made myself a cup of chamomile tea, and I sat with the full weight of what I now knew. The group chat, I understood, was not an accident. The forgotten dinner times, and the late birthday arrivals, and the Thanksgivings with her family. They were not chaos. They were coordination. A whole thread full of it. And in 2 years of family life organized in that thread, not one person had thought to add me. I thought about what Gerald would have said. He was a quiet man, my husband. Not passive, quiet. There is a difference. He believed that the most important thing you could do when someone wronged you was to remain exactly, precisely yourself, and let reality do the correcting. I decided to take his advice. What I did next was quieter than anyone expected, including myself. The lake house is in my name alone, and has been since the day Gerald died. According to an appraisal I commissioned in February, quietly, during a week I told no one about, it is worth $412,000. I made an appointment with my attorney, Carol. I've known Carol for 25 years. Her youngest and my Marcus were in the same Cub Scout troop. She listened to everything I told her without interrupting, which is one of Carol's best qualities. And then she said, "Dorothy, I have been waiting for you to come into this office for something like this." I asked her what she meant. She smiled and said, "You've always been the one taking care of everybody. I'm glad you're finally taking care of yourself." I set up a rental listing with a local property management company. Going forward, the lake house would require advance booking and my written confirmation for any use, family included. Not the key on the hook in my kitchen. My written confirmation. My calendar. My house. I drafted a letter. 3 pages, on the cream stationery I've had since Gerald's mother gave it to me at our wedding shower. I wrote it longhand. I wrote 4 copies, one for Marcus, one for Renee, one for my files, and one I sealed and gave to Carol to hold. Not because I planned to escalate. Because I wanted there to be a record that I had known what I knew and chosen to handle it with care. Then I waited. In my experience, the right moment always presents itself. You just have to be steady enough to recognize it when it does. I did not anticipate that it would arrive on a Thursday evening in May, from Marcus's own mouth. "Hey, Mom." That particular lightness in his voice. Big Memorial Day weekend, thought we'd all go up to the lake. Sandra and Frank, Becca and her boyfriend, the cousins. Really nice family thing. I can swing by Saturday morning and grab the key. I let a small silence sit between us. That sounds like a wonderful weekend. I said, "Yeah, we're excited. 9 o'clock work for you?" "I won't be home Saturday morning. I have book club." "Oh. Could you leave the key under the mat?" "I'm not going to do that." I said pleasantly. The house is booked for Memorial Day. A silence. Different from mine. "What do you mean booked?" "I've listed it with a property management company. Someone reserved it last week. I should have told you I was doing that. That's on me. I'm sorry for the short notice." "Mom." His voice dropped. "That is a family house." "It's my house." I said, still pleasant. "The way you discuss the weather. And I want us to use it together. But I'd like to know about it in advance." The same way I'd want to check with you before sleeping in your guest room. That's completely different. Is it? He didn't answer right away. I could hear Renee in the background, asking him something low and urgent. I waited. Can we talk about this in person? He said. Of course. Come Sunday. I'll make pot roast. They came on Sunday. All 5 of them. Marcus walked in with his jaw forward and his eyes a little too casual. The same face he had at 8 years old when he'd broken something and was hoping I hadn't noticed yet. Renee came in behind him with a pie from the grocery store bakery. I recognized the white box. Cora launched herself at my knees within approximately 4 seconds of walking through the door. We ate first. Pot roast and cornbread and the good butter. Owen ate 4 pieces of cornbread. Lily sat beside me and once, very briefly, pressed her hand over mine. I looked at her and she just shook her head a little, as if to say, I'm sorry. I gave her hand a gentle squeeze and said nothing. When the plates were cleared and Cora was drawing on a paper bag on the kitchen floor, I folded my hands on the table. I want to tell you both something. I said, I'm going to ask you to just listen for a minute. Marcus looked at Renee. Renee looked at the tablecloth. 7 months ago, I came across something by accident. I learned that there is a group, Chat Family Updates, I believe it's called, and I am not in it. I don't know exactly how long it has existed, but I know that some plans were made there that affected me. And I know that the lake house has been used on weekends when I was told no one was going up. The kitchen was very quiet. Even Owen stopped moving. I'm not angry. I said, I want to be clear about that. I have no interest in making this into a scene. But I need you to understand that I know what I know. And I need you to understand that I noticed when I stopped being considered. Not just for the lake house. For dinners. For holidays. For the ordinary back and forth of being in a family. Renee said, Dorothy, and then stopped. You didn't think it was a big deal. I said, I know. That's the part I've had to sit with. You stopped thinking about how things felt to me because you got busy living your life, and I understand that completely. But I raised that man sitting next to you. I was there every time he needed me. And the lake house is mine, and I have been very, very patient. Marcus looked at his hands for a long moment. Then he looked up at me. Mom, he said, I'm sorry. Renee said it too, quietly. I'm sorry, Dorothy. And I believed them. I want to say that clearly because I think it matters. I believed them both. People can disappoint you and still be essentially good. I have lived long enough to know the difference. I'd like to be in the group chat. I said, I'd like to be included when you make plans. And when you want to use the lake house, I'd like you to ask me. Not because I'll say no. Because it's a courtesy. Because I'm your mother and your family, and I'd like to be treated that way. That's it. Renee asked. That's it. Lily released a breath that seemed to have been building for months. Owen looked at her sideways. She just shook her head and reached for more cornbread. I removed the rental listing that week. It had received one genuine inquiry during the time it was active, which I politely declined. The listing had never been about the money. It had been about the fact that I was capable of making decisions about my own property without anyone's permission, the same way they had been making decisions about it without mine. 14 days later, my phone buzzed with a notification. A group chat invitation. The name had been changed. Family, all of us. I accepted. The first message I sent was a photo of the cardinal on my backyard feeder. Lily sent back 3 heart emojis. Owen sent a picture of a lizard he'd found at recess. Marcus sent a thumbs up, which for Marcus is basically a sonnet. We spent the 4th of July at the lake house, all of us together, Sandra and Frank, Becca and her boyfriend, all the grandchildren running loose on the dock. I made my mother's potato salad, the recipe she gave me the week I got married, and Sandra asked for it twice. We sat on the dock at dusk and watched the sky go pink over Douglas Lake. Marcus sat beside me and was quiet for a while, the way he gets quiet when he's working his way toward something real. Then he said, "I think I forgot for a little while that you actually want to be around us." I looked at my son, gray at the temples now, broader in the shoulders than I will ever quite get used to, and I thought about everything I could say. About the 2 years. About the key on the hook and the propane tank, and the Thanksgivings I'd spent at Pauline's. I said, "I do. I really, really do." He put his arm around me, and we watched the last of the light go down over the water. I am 73 years old. I have lost a husband and survived a pandemic and rettled my own bathroom floor. I am not a woman who disappears quietly. But I have learned, more than anything else in this long life, that the most powerful thing you can do when the people you love have forgotten you is to remain patiently and completely yourself until they remember. They remembered. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to gently remind the people you love that you were still in the room? My son Marcus looked me in the eye across the corner booth of his own restaurant, the one I had helped keep alive for 22 years, and told me I was just adding numbers. He actually used those words. "Mom, you're just adding numbers. We've got professionals now." I set down my coffee cup very slowly. I did not say one word back to him. Not then. Let me take you back to how it all started. My name is Ruth. I am 72 years old. I live in a brick ranch house in Knoxville, Tennessee, that my husband Gerald and I bought in 1985 for $84,000, which felt enormous at the time and makes me smile now. Or it would, if Gerald were still here to share the joke. He passed in 2019, and when he did, I cried for 4 months, and then I got practical. Because that is what women like me do. I had been a bookkeeper my whole working life. Not an accountant. I want you to understand that distinction, because it matters to everything that follows. A certified bookkeeper. 31 years at Harlan Plumbing Supply in Knoxville, keeping their ledgers clean, their payroll on time, and their quarterly taxes accurate to the last penny. My boss used to say I could find a rounding error in the dark. I took that as a compliment. When I retired at 63, I thought I was finished with numbers. I planted a garden that first spring. I took up watercolor painting, which I turned out to be genuinely terrible at. I had my friend Connie 2 streets over, who has been my closest companion since our daughters were in the same kindergarten class 30-some years ago. I had plans for a quiet life. What I did not count on was Marcus. He had always wanted to open a restaurant. Since he was 12 years old, and sat next to his father on Saturday mornings watching cooking shows, scribbling in a little spiral notebook I only discovered after Gerald died. At 41, he finally did it. Copperwood Grill. Southern comfort food, good sourced meats, a bar that stayed respectable. He opened the doors in May of 2002, and I cried a little watching the sign go up. I was proud of him. Genuinely, deeply proud. But Marcus had passion and stubbornness in equal measure, and an almost mystical inability to understand where money went once it left a bank account. He had a good restaurant manager. He had a solid chef. What he did not have was any idea what his food cost percentage was, or why that number mattered. He spread a paper napkin across my kitchen table 6 months after he opened. It was covered in ink, numbers, arrows, question marks circled in red. He looked at me with those eyes he had used since he was 8 years old when he wanted something, and he said, "Mama, I just need someone to look at these numbers for a little while." I said yes before he finished the sentence. That was 22 years ago. For the next 2 decades, I drove to Copperwood 3 mornings a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I had my own key. I had a small desk in the back office between the walk-in refrigerator and the dry goods storage, and it suited me just fine. I reconciled the bank accounts every Monday morning. I tracked food and labor costs against weekly sales. I managed vendor invoices, handled payroll tax filings, and negotiated payment terms with suppliers when cash got tight, which it did more than once. In 2009, I found a $14,000 billing error from their linen service. A service charge that had been quietly duplicating itself for 11 months. I called the vendor, provided the documentation, and recovered every penny. In 2014, I noticed the register receipts were not matching my sales reports 3 weeks running. Not by coincidence. A pattern. I brought it to Marcus quietly, with the paper trail already laid out in front of us, and we handled it without any drama. I never took a salary. Marcus tried to pay me twice in the early years, and both times I waved him off. It was family. That was perhaps my first mistake. But I did not know it yet. Now here is something I need you to hold on to, because it becomes very important later. In 2011, Copperwood nearly closed. A brutal winter with low foot traffic, a broken walk-in freezer that cost $12,000 to replace, and a produce distributor who raised their prices without warning. Marcus called me at 9:30 on a Tuesday night, which he had never done before. His voice had a sound I recognized from when he was small, and something had gone wrong that he did not know how to fix. He needed $85,000 to cover operating costs through the spring. He needed a cosigner on a line of credit at First Horizon Bank. They required someone with clean credit and verifiable income. I said yes. My name went on that line of credit in February of 2011. Marcus paid it down steadily over the years. By last year, the remaining balance was $11,000. My name was still on it. I want to pause there, because that detail is everything. The first time I felt the shift in how I was regarded, it was small enough to explain away. Marcus had married Delia 8 years ago. I want to be fair to Delia, because this is not a story about a villain. She is sharp, she works hard, and she genuinely improved Copperwood in the years she was involved. She redesigned the menu layout. She built a catering side operation that brought in 20% of their annual revenue. She had real instincts for the business. She also had a way of taking ownership of things she had recently noticed that others had been doing quietly for a long time. The first time I heard it, we were at Sunday dinner at Marcus's house. Delia was talking about operational changes she wanted to make, and she said, "We should probably modernize the bookkeeping situation." Not my name. Not what Ruth handles, or what Mom does 3 mornings a week. The bookkeeping situation. As if it were a clogged drain that needed a plumber. I noticed. I served myself more sweet potatoes and said nothing. The second thing was harder to dismiss. In February of last year, I received an email. It was from Delia to Marcus, and I was copied on it. To this day, I do not know whether that was accidental or deliberate. The subject line was "Next Steps for Operations." Delia outlined a plan to bring in a firm called ClearPath Business Solutions. They were described as specialists in restaurant financial management. She listed several areas they would be handling going forward. The third item on her list read, "Bookkeeping and financial reporting, currently handled informally by family, recommend transitioning to professional oversight." That word, informally. 22 years of work. 22 years of driving across town 3 mornings every single week, of catching errors and recovering money, of keeping payroll from bouncing and personally guaranteeing a line of credit in a desperate February. And the word Delia chose was informally. I read the email 3 times. Then I forwarded it to my own personal address. I closed the laptop. I went outside and watered my tomato plants for longer than they needed. What I found when I came back inside and sat down with my old files that afternoon set everything in motion. I had kept records since day 1. Every reconciliation, every vendor contract and negotiated amendment, every quarterly tax filing, every spreadsheet going back to 2002. They lived in matching binders on a shelf in my spare bedroom, organized by year and category. I also had digital copies on an external hard drive in my fireproof safe. I pulled the 2011 binder. There it was. The cosign documentation for the line of credit at First Horizon Bank. $85,000. February 2011. Ruth Ann Cassidy, co-borrower. I sat with that piece of paper for a long time. Then I thought about something that was not written down anywhere at all. I thought about the arrangement I had reached with Baxter Brothers Produce in 2018, when Copperwood hit 2 slow months in a row and cash was tight again. I had called their regional manager, a man named Dale, who I had dealt with for years, and worked out a 15% below market price on their standing orders in exchange for prompt payment. That deal had been running for 4 years on the strength of a personal relationship and nothing else. No contract, just trust built carefully over time. ClearPath would not know Dale. They would not think to call him. And when their first invoice arrived from Baxter Brothers at full price, no one at Copperwood would understand why. I picked up the phone and called Connie. She listened to everything over her kitchen table with decaf coffee and her good lemon pound cake, and she did not interrupt once. When I finished, she sat quietly for a moment. Then she said simply, "Ruth, what do you want to do about it?" I told her what I had been turning over in my mind. She smiled, that smile of hers that takes a long while to arrive, but changes her whole face when it does. "I have been waiting for you to say something like that for about 3 years." As she said, "Step 1 was the bank." I called First Horizon and spoke with the loan officer, who had processed the original paperwork. I explained that I was a co-borrower reviewing my obligations and wanted to understand the process for requesting removal from the account. She walked me through it clearly and professionally. A formal written notice would trigger a standard review period. The primary borrower, Marcus, would be notified and would need to either pay the remaining balance in full or refinance the account into his name alone. Completely standard procedure. My legal right, which I had simply never thought to exercise. I mailed the written request on a Monday morning. Certified mail, return receipt requested. Step 2 was my files. I spent 3 evenings in my spare bedroom going through 22 years of binders. I was not destroying anything. Every page that belonged to Copperwood's official records stayed organized and accounted for, ready to hand over in a banker's box. But I separated what was mine from what was theirs. My personal analysis templates. The frameworks I had built and refined over 2 decades of watching their particular business. My working notes on vendor relationships, seasonal patterns, the small quirks of their sales, cycles that only someone who had watched the numbers for that long would ever notice. Those came home with me. I also wrote down, for my own records, everything I had been carrying in my head that existed nowhere on paper. Every informal arrangement, every vendor contact, and the right name to ask for when calling. I had earned that knowledge across 22 years. I was not going to leave it behind as an unacknowledged gift. Step 3 was a call I had been considering for 6 months. Meridian Kitchen was the restaurant people mentioned when they wanted a Copperwood alternative. New ownership, 2 years ago, a young couple named the Hayeses with genuine talent and absolutely no back-office organization. A mutual acquaintance had mentioned, offhandedly, that they were drowning in administrative chaos and did not know where to start. I called on a Wednesday afternoon. By Friday, Connie and I had our first meeting at Meridian's back office. And I will tell you, walking in there and seeing the invoices stacked in a paper grocery bag, the payroll tracked in a personal spiral notebook, the bank statements sitting unopened in a rubber-banded pile, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Genuinely, completely useful. Alive in the way that good work makes you feel alive. Connie and I had been talking for weeks about formalizing what we had always done separately, and we filed the paperwork for a small bookkeeping services LLC that same week. 2 women, combined 80-some years of professional experience between us. Meridian Kitchen became our first client. Marcus called on a Sunday evening, 3 weeks after First Horizon sent him the notice. I let it ring once before I picked up. I wanted to be steady when I answered. Mom. His voice was controlled but tight. I got a notice from First Horizon. I know. I said. I sent the request. A silence long enough that I checked the phone to make sure the call had not dropped. Why? He said slowly, would you do that without talking to me first? Marcus, I am 72 years old. I cannot carry an open liability indefinitely. I should have addressed it years ago, honestly. There are $11,000 left on it. I know the balance. Another silence. Longer this time. A clear pass. The word came out flat, like something he was not happy to be saying out loud. It has been a transition. Transitions take time. I said pleasantly, Mom. A pause. Their first invoice from Baxter Brothers came in at full price. Dale called me personally. He wanted to know why we were suddenly dealing with someone he had never spoken to, and why we were no longer on the preferred schedule. I did not say anything to that. And their monthly reports do not break out produce variance separately. I cannot see what we are spending on proteins versus everything else without digging through 3 different tabs. You could ask them to adjust the format. I offered. Mom. His voice went quieter. Can we have dinner? Can we actually sit down and talk properly? I would love that. I said, come to my house. And bring Delia. He said yes without the slightest hesitation. That told me everything I needed to know. They came on a Tuesday. I made pot roast, which I have been making since before Marcus was born, and I set the table with my good dishes, the ones with the blue border that Gerald always loved best. Delia brought a bottle of red wine, and when I opened the front door, she looked, for the first time I could recall in 8 years, slightly unsure of herself. We ate and kept to easy things at first. The grandchildren. A film Marcus had seen. Connie's daughter and her new position. I let the meal find its own rhythm and did not rush it. Marcus set down his fork about 40 minutes in and looked at me directly. I owe you an apology. He said, what I said at the restaurant was wrong and it was careless, and I have thought about it every single day since. You have never just been adding numbers. I do not know why I put it that way. I looked at my son across my good dishes with the blue border. I saw the man he had become, and underneath him, like one photograph laid over another, I saw the boy he had been 12 years old on a Saturday morning, filling a little notebook with his father beside him. I know. I said, and I know that you know. Delia set down her fork as well. Ruth, I owe you one too. That email, I am still not entirely certain you were meant to see it, and I have been uncomfortable about that since February. What I wrote was dismissive. 22 years is not informal. The restaurant is what it is because of you, in part, and I should have said that out loud a long time ago. I appreciated that she said it plainly and without decoration. Delia has always been direct, and in this case, I was grateful for it. I want to tell you both something. I said, Connie and I have started a bookkeeping services business together. We filed the LLC last month. We already have our first client. Marcus blinked. Something moved quickly across his face, surprise first, and then something that looked very much like pride. We would very much like to be your second client. He said quietly, if you would consider it. There would need to be a contract this time. I said, real terms. A real fee that reflects the actual scope of the work. Absolutely. And the vendor relationships get documented properly going forward. Nothing informal. If it matters to the business, it lives in writing. He almost smiled at that word, and I let him see that I had noticed. A deal, he said. I picked up my fork. Then we can discuss the details after pot roast. ClearPath completed their transition period 2 months later. Connie and I took over Copperwood's books under a signed services agreement at a rate that reflected what the work was genuinely worth. Not extravagant, I am not interested in punishing my son. But fair. The line of credit balance was paid off within 6 weeks, and my name came cleanly off the account. I slept better the night that letter arrived. Meridian Kitchen's food cost percentage has come down 9 points in 6 months. Word is moving through the local restaurant community. We have 2 more inquiries sitting on the table. Marcus calls me on Sundays now, just to call. Not about business, just to call. Sometimes he drives over and we sit on the sofa with coffee and find something to watch, the way he used to do with Gerald on Saturday mornings. Last week he said, "Mama, I genuinely do not know how we kept that place open before you." I said, "You're welcome, baby." I have been doing this work for 50 years. I have never once needed anyone to tell me it mattered. The numbers always told me themselves. But sitting in my own kitchen, hearing those words from my son across my good dishes with the blue border, I will tell you honestly, it was sweeter than I expected. We do not always need the last word. Sometimes the numbers say everything for us. Tell me in the comments, have you ever done quiet, invisible work for someone you loved and waited far too long for them to see what it was truly worth?